Hello, everybody, tonight. I gotta get a microphone. I had no microphone. Look at me go.
We're not live on YouTube yet.
We will be right now.
Oh.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Blended Life. I am Eric. This is my wife, Julie. And
What
tonight's
up?
topics are... We have lots of topics tonight, right?
We're
Or a few?
talking about family pictures. It's that time of the year. Finances. Feeling stuck in the middle between your children and your stepchildren.
Okay.
What do you do when your stepchild is the source of your distress in your life?
No relatable subjects here.
What to do when your ex or the other bio parent is high conflict and just not following court orders?
Ooh, that could be a tough one.
Yeah, lots of good stuff.
Okay. So where are we going to start off?
So let's start off on family pictures.
Okay.
Just because
Because
we're dipping
we're
our
at
toes.
we're at that bridge and we are about to cross it.
Yeah, so, this is something that we're dealing with now, and it just made me think. I know that, what do you do when one of the kids doesn't want to be in your family photo? Now, we've not had to be clear, we have not had one of our kids not say to us, we don't want to be in your family photo this year. However, we do have one that's not responding.
Yeah, she's harder to come by. Now, she is the oldest. She has a lot more responsibilities in life and is not...
It's an answering a question, yes or no. I'm sorry. I don't think
No.
it's an unreasonable expectation.
Oh, yeah.
However, it just got me thinking, because what would we do? Like, say she didn't want to be part of our family photo for whatever reason, and she would have valid reasons.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And it would be disappointing, but it makes
Would you
me
be offended?
think. I would not be offended.
Yeah, me neither.
I would totally understand.
Yeah.
However, people in blended families probably have older children or children who are really upset with the blended family dynamic and not really supportive that their parents went down this road.
Right.
And it made me think, that would be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of families, because I think with family pictures, it's hilarious, right? We want one picture that makes us look like a
whole family. No, my favorite part about it is the coordinating and everyone
It's
dressing.
ridiculous.
But yeah, I'm kind of like, hey, let's wear our pajamas and go. Where you're like, we got to look a
Coordinated
certain way.
pajamas.
And,
if we're wearing pajamas, we would have to have matching or something.
Right. So with not having the response, you have taken the liberty of gone ahead and got her a matching dress.
Well, I did that.
Which is awesome.
Why did I do that?
So she didn't have pajamas while everyone else had matching dresses.
Well, I just feel like I ordered myself a dress. I ordered my daughter a dress.
Right.
So is she going to show up and she's the only one who didn't?
Yeah, that wouldn't be fair either.
That's not cool. But it's also not fair to get a response back. Like, it is frustrating to be like, I just want to know your size, and if you want to be in the picture, crickets. It's kind of like...
crickets.
So, and those are, money's been spent.
Yeah. That's
she
okay.
may hate whatever. But the thing is, it's like I'm also not offended if she didn't want to be, not because... I don't know. I think family pictures are just a snapshot in time of what your family looks like, right?
Yeah, they're once a year that we send a card out to everyone that we know.
Yeah, but we keep our family pictures up in our home.
We do.
You can't, if you see them, they're over yonder. You can see our last year's. If you're watching on YouTube, they're kind of behind there.
No, it's not.
But we display them in our home, and I love family pictures. I think all women love family pictures. What are you going to wear? I told you.
Unless they're teenage women.
But then hers is a unique situation. Like, if it was my daughter, she would have no choice.
Right.
At 16, 19, if she's living in our home and, but that's not the case.
This isn't the case.
It's different situation
she doesn't
here.
live in our home.
Nope.
She,
and has a hard time. Like, also, children have to understand too, like, we can't expect kids to feel a certain way about our family dynamic, right? You can't force that on them. And if they don't feel like comfortable as part of your family, then it's sad, but you need to respect that. I think that especially when they get older And it is like if there's a child absent for anyone, it's a mark in history of how it was, and that's just kind of is what it is.
I wonder if she'd ever come on and talk about it, like just the dynamics of the blended family, because it's one of those things that she's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place in multiple situations.
Totally.
And
it's so hard. I mean, she's pulled in so many directions, and not even by parents, but internally, I would feel like.
Yeah, and then also not even on top of her just normal daily, life duties of going to school. She has a job. In the summer, she had 2 jobs, She's a very responsible kid. Now she's trying out for stunting for, for the athletics club. So she's got a lot going. She does a lot of babysitting. She's a responsible kid. She's doing a lot of things. And for her, it's kind of like, hey, just get back to us. Let us know. But
it's literally a half a second text, yes or no.
Yeah. But
like, I don't care how busy you are. It's just respect.
Yeah.
Like, I don't excuse.
Maybe she don't respect us.
Maybe that's, but I'm like, I wouldn't even be mad.
I know.
For how she feels.
You know what's funny though? She'll probably show up and she'll be like, no big deal. Like, whatever. Yeah, let's do this. Like, she's very just easygoing.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to see. I wonder though how other people deal with these types of things. If they do have these problems where it's like they have to fight their kids in order to get the or
deal
let's say
with the after
hypothetically,
effects,
right? Say
right?
hypothetically, she was like, I don't want to do this,
right?
And it hurt your feelings. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Do this is your biological daughter, and she's like, Mom, I don't want to be in these family photos. What are you gonna do?
I
dropped that on you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see myself allowing my daughter to be peace outing on family photos.
Yeah. What if she kicks and screams, doesn't do her hair?
Then I haven't raised her correctly.
Oh, okay.
Truly. Like, if I'm raising that kind of disrespectful child,
what do you
then
do
I
at that
haven't
point,
raised
though?
her.
Is that like an eye opener where you're like, all right, now I have to like completely come back to the drawing board and hopefully
I don't know. That's a tough one. Part of me, the reactionary side of me is like, well, then we're not doing family pictures right now.
Oh,
then we're not even going to have family pictures. Then, okay. Or you and I would do a Christmas card from us and no kid. No, that's not fair. Or
you know what the
either.
workaround is on
this?
I
don't know.
You take pictures throughout the whole year and you make yourself a collage, right? And you go through and you're like, okay, we'll take a nice one of us. This is this kid and this is this kid. And then you do the old person traditional thing where you write out a list of what all the kids did all year.
Oh my gosh, we will never be those people. No knocking it. I just have no time for that. I would freak out.
Most blended families don't, I'm sure.
But I really love, like, I will say last year it was a complete family picture.
It was awesome. And it was a fun, we did multiple fun ones.
But the year before that, it wasn't.
I'm trying to remember what the year before was. But anyway, yeah,
last
year
was
a lot of fun.
Chris took pictures out in the woods.
Chris.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
The woods, we sound
out
creepy.
In the woods.
But I mean, it feels like a piece is missing, and it sucks to look back on. I mean, I can speak from experience. We've had both instances where we've had missing child, all children, and it's a wonderful thing to look, and I know, like, kids say they don't care, but I 99% can guarantee you when one of those children walks into your house and you have frame pictures up and they're not included, that stings a little bit. Now, whether they're going to admit that or not, depending on the child, but it is heartwarming to walk into a home and feel included. Even when I walk into your parents' home and there's a picture up of my kids or a picture up of us or me, because I came in, my kids and I came in way later, right? But the fact that they include my kids and I in your parents' family home, it makes me feel welcomed. It matters, and little things like that. It's really special to me, right?
Like the car you bought, because every time you flip down the visor, they had put a picture of you in the visor, custom picture of you. So you just thought it was the greatest car ever. So you're like, I'm going to buy this. They took the liberty to put a picture of me. What are you
talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
It's a blonde joke. It's your mirror.
Oh my God.
More crickets.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
More blonde jokes.
Oh my gosh. Anyhow, but pictures matter, and I know it's a kind of a sore subject, but it would really, I guess it would, we would do family pictures. It would bum me out.
Yeah.
You know.
And I would let her know that. I wouldn't be like, oh, okay, no big deal. But if it was really
just want
like
her to feel included and everything. I don't ever, and it's just, our situation with her is just different than most people's.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, end of the day, though, I don't think that even is a situation. I think she just...
No, it just made me think, like, what if?
Yeah, no, you're totally...
And then other blended families probably have situations where older kids, you enter into families when you're 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, and those kids are like, wait, I'm not having any part of this.
Yeah. And that's a really hard thing to navigate. So I don't know if you guys want to write me and tell me if you've run into the situation and how you guys navigate it, or what you think and how it feels. And if you're part of a blended family, also, do your in-laws have pictures of their step-grandkids up? And how do you feel about that?
Yeah, we've actually done, they weren't part of our family photos, but we did some with both of our parents as well.
And we probably will this year too.
Yeah.
They'll all be there. So anyway, cool. Something to consider.
You said writing into you. I want to start doing giveaways. We've talked about it a little bit. So maybe we don't start this week, but let's get a platform. Let's do like Instagram giveaways, and let's do
Facebook.
Let's do Instagram, let's do Facebook, and let's do YouTube.
Holy moly, we're going to buy a lot of stuff.
If you guys are listening to this, we're going to start doing some giveaways. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And if you're new to one of the platforms, let us know. Say, hey, what's up? I'm new.
You can subscribe to the website too. And actually, the website's awesome. It has it has the blog on the website. So things that I write that aren't found on Instagram or Facebook. But also the blog, we're keeping, there's a tab that's called, like, I forget, it's I forget, it's the website I built. But it's like, it's got resources. It's a resource tab, and there's articles in there that are helpful, I think, in blended life and in life in general. So if you haven't been to our website, go check it out, theblendedlife.net.
I'll go check it out. The funny thing about this is,
you've never seen it.
I'm the website builder here.
And
you built our website.
It's really weird. Okay.
There's reasons why I don't go to our website.
That's right.
No, it's awesome. Like, your blog is very good. She's an excellent writer. I just like to make lots of jokes.
He likes to put me down.
I don't.
Funny.
It's not. I'm not even.
Anybody else?
Your writing is awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on though, blended finances. So this is a topic that when I put out there every so often, like, suggest a topic, or what do you want to hear us talk about? And this was just blended finances, things to consider before you get married with finances. Now, we did a podcast on finances, and we keep our finances separate. That's our choice right now. It may not always look that way. But for now, that's what we're doing. And you can go listen to that podcast should that interest you, why our reasoning is for that. But things to consider before you walk down the aisle. Finances are tricky. I have friends who have blended families, and they commingle finances. And so what I would say is, if you're going to do that, you're going to kind of have to let go of control. Like, the resentments build up if you're shelling out money to kids and you don't both agree on it.
Or one's paying child support or the other one's gaining child support. I mean, there's so many variables to that, right?
Yeah, and you have to think long term, like when it comes to buying, cars or college or weddings. Like, I'm not even talking about immediate things, but long term things.
Christmas, daily.
Yeah, and then there are like birthdays and Christmas. Like, are you, how is money going to be shared in the family? It needs to be your number one question before you decide if you're going to keep it separate. And a lot of times it's just cleaner that way. Less to fight over, not a whole lot of resentments, and you help each other out when necessary. But then it starts
spilling over, because then it's like dinner tonight, lunch tomorrow. All these start spilling over.
It's kind of like forever dating.
And what's funny about that is like on Venmo, I'm private, but I see everyone else's around me.
Same.
you know? And I'm
Same.
like, you guys are paying each other for, like, you're a married spouse and you're paying each other for food, you know? I see like the baby emoji, you know, and like a bottle.
You saw that today too? Did you see the, yeah.
It's just stuff like that where I'm like, man, like this is our kid, which is also like, this is our family. So you and I, when it comes to dinner, it's not like, well, I'm going to pay half and you're going to pay half. And, you know, it's like, hey, I'll pick this up. Yeah, I'll pick this up. You know, we take turns and, you know, we discuss, you know, financials at the points and kind of know where each other is, but it totally can spill over, right?
Yes, and I think that if you're going to keep your finances separate, you are still married, so you help each other out.
Regardless, yeah.
Regardless.
Not like, man, you're down on your luck.
I think, but these are discussions that you need to have. Like, if you're going to keep your finances separate, what's your plan when someone loses a job, someone loses a source of income, you can't afford bills, you know, are you going to be okay shouldering all that while the other spouse isn't contributing? If you're going to share finances, you need to discuss things like how you guys are going to pay for kids that are his and hers. And then also consider if you are having kids together. If you're having kids together, if we were like, we're going to have our kids together, I would have been more like, let's join finances.
Yeah.
But if you don't have kids together, sometimes it's just easier not to. And then, you know, less to fight over.
Yeah.
Or argue or whatever.
One of the viewers is asking what, let me see, which of you have the kiddos on your health insurance? So, if you're married, it can be on either health insurance, right?
Yeah, our family, aside from your stepdaughter, is
because I'm not legally tied to her, and that's the only reason.
And I'm legally tied to my stepson through marriage. Right. So right now we are my kids, my stepson, you, me, are all on the same insurance plan through my work.
Right.
And that's what we do.
But I think she's asking, like, say works, which is kind of fun, the way that it works out. But say both.
Who's paying for it?
No, both. Yeah, but both. You know, his insurance company or his place of employment, her place of employment, they both offer health insurance. You know, who flips a bill for that? You know.
Well, I think like what we do. So that just becomes a shared bill. So you each pay. If you're keeping finances separate, then you split it up accordingly. And you know, like so what we do is we have an itemized sheet.
So it's like our housing's always the same. Our food, grocery-ish is the same.
Gas, electric, our household bills, things that we share, you know, we have it itemized and then we divide in by 2. And then I bring to the table my half, he brings to the table his half. And then our bills get paid because we both contribute. We both work, we both have income. So that might be different for you guys. You know, if one person's working, one person's not, you might want to, if there's one income, share finances. If you're both making your own money, you know, we just split bills down the middle. And then everything else, like not responsible, but I take care of my kids' expenses, whether it's co-pays or
that was like
clothing.
A big part of my day, like copay stuff and activities, and I'm working on finances
activities,
with
extracurricular activities.
Right.
I pay for all my kids' stuff. You pay for your children's things, like so.
But also, like going back and like we're not tied to Venmo at all, but like a good little plug here,
Venmo.
It's so awesome. I mean, because like honestly, like an hour of this morning, I am dealing with my ex. I'm co-parenting, and we're talking about bills and copays, between our son. So I'm Venmoing her stuff. She's Venmoing me stuff, which is kind of funny because at the end of it, I think there was only a $12.50 difference between, of what went what direction. But this will kind of jump over to a topic in a little while, but the court ordered stuff, this helps your paper trail. This helps you show, look, I've paid my way. I've paid my half for my kid if you're 50-50 custody. And
are we still plugging Venmo?
Yeah, but Venmo
gosh.
Venmo makes it super easy and really doesn't cost anything, versus like PayPal or, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Venmo's super easy. And it's just kind of funny how that works out. You know, most people, you know, in years before us didn't have that type of luxury. They were writing checks and, you know. Anyways. Yeah.
We are very lucky to live in the digital technology
blended family life
driven world.
Right.
So so things to consider before you married. Yeah. Healthcare, anything that money is going to be spent on, you know, discuss finances like when kids are 18. Okay. Are we footing the bill for kids after 18? Are they allowed to live at home? Because that's something that looms for a lot of blended families who are excited for their stepkids to move out. And stepkids don't move out. They stay put. Are we expecting them to get a job? Are we footing the bill? If you're sharing finances, what I see a lot from people and I've heard a lot from people is people who share finances feel upset and resentful that they're having to, any of their money is going into a deadbeat stepchild who has no job.
Is that a thing?
Yes.
A deadbeat stepchild?
That's awesome. Is like not in school, not contributing to the household.
I've heard of the redheaded stepchild. I've never heard of the deadbeat stepchild.
It's a new shirt.
Awesome.
But, you know,
it comes extra baggy, all stretched out collar.
But, like, this is a thing.
Right.
You know, kids who won't move out, who are living at home till they're 26, no job, not helping out around the house, not contributing to household bills, not in school. I mean, that would cause a lot of marital issues, I would assume. Right?
I would assume.
But that would be something to talk about before you, because it may not financially matter to you when you get married and the kids are 2 and 4.
Yeah, you're not thinking about
that.
But
please understand at some point that's going to be a road. And if you guys at least have had that discussion, you have some basis for, you know, how you're going to financially deal with that. Because finances is one of the number one things that breaks up marriage, is blended family or not.
Right.
And so you need to figure out with your spouse your fiance, before you walk down the aisle, what is the path of least resistance for you two? It's going to look different for every family because your financial needs, your financial situation, jobs, all that's going to look very different. But the hard discussions that you can have and the plans that you can lay out beforehand will just set you up for success. It's really hard when you are in it and you find out something that you can't take back and you know you're not going to get divorced over and you just kind of have to swallow sand. That's a really tough spot to live in for the rest of your life and live resentful and upset and feeling, you know, whatever negative feeling that is. So I think you need to be financially responsible before you get married.
Yeah.
And that means having discussions, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, and getting married and having a family, you know, you're supposed to kind of die to yourself and live for your spouse, live for your family. You know, so part of that is financially, you know, maybe having different spending habits and
really spending habits. Yes, when you share finances, spending habits are watched a whole lot more and cared about a whole lot more than if you keep your money separate. You know, then as long as you're paying half the bills, I don't really care what you do.
Which is why we don't split.
We have very different spending habits, but we know that about each other.
We do.
You know?
We knew that going into this, and
we're both working on it, though. It's interesting. We're both bettering ourselves.
But I don't think either of us are
currently
that nitpicky about it. Anyways, it's kind
of... I think it would be if we shared finances.
Do you?
Yeah.
Huh. It's weird. I'm very like not money driven at all, but I'm very money conscientious. And I think about it, and I like how you're a planner. I'm very much a money planner, like how things go. Mm-hmm. But
you have to understand, like, I think financially, like quality of life with finances, like what are you putting your money into? Now, I dug myself in a hole trying to live life to the fullest and having experiences, and you know, and that's what I value, right? I value going and doing things, going and seeing things. Getting out and doing things. And so that's where my money, if I could do that, I'd be gone every weekend, somewhere fun, somewhere new, having experiences,
I hope
right?
You send us postcards.
Right. But that's, you know, I was financially immature and irresponsible, but my point is so like financially what I would put my money towards would be that. I would assume you would choose different things to put your money into as your primary source of like fun?
It depends. You know, I don't have like one specific thing. I have lots of different things, as you know. And
yeah, but the majority of our money goes to, certain things. Like the majority of your income goes to a certain place.
Sometimes, but it's not a tax write-off. Or, I mean, it is a tax write-off. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But it's also not getting ourselves into situations that we can't ever get out of. I'm very aware of where my situation is and your situation. And I'm always strategically planning, like, okay, like you came to me a couple months ago. I want to get out of debt. I'm feeling like I'm in over my head and I'm not loving this feeling and I want to get out of debt. And helped you come up with a plan, right?
Yeah.
I think we're executing it pretty well.
Yeah.
Like you've knocked out a huge chunk of it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how my brain works when it comes to finances. Now, like I said, I'm not completely financially driven, but it is kind of what keeps us alive, in a sense. I don't want to be homeless. I always want to be able to eat. I always want to be able to go places, So you got to be very aware of it. So to say you don't care about finances at all is kind of irresponsible also. So you kind of have to find out.
Yeah, if somebody tells you that, don't believe them.
I don't care about money, whatever.
Also talk about if you're marrying somebody, you're supposed to be with them the rest of your life. So you talk about what age do you want to work to? What's your retirement look like? Do you guys plan to, because I know like
what age do you want to live to?
Well, my parents, are going to probably work until their dying day.
Yeah, but they don't need to,
But I'm just saying, but that might be how you're driven.
Love to.
You might be driven that way. Not you specifically, but the person you're marrying might really love to work. And that's like their plan till their dying day. And you're marrying somebody who's like, hey, 55, I want to be on the beach in Costa Rica. So we need to figure it out. And so those are the kind of financial discussions too that you need to have along with, shared finances, but like future plans. Where do you see yourself at 55, 65? Do you want to retire? Are you great working? Are you going to have a savings account? What are you going to do? What's the savings account used for? Are we going to touch it ever?
You're going to buy a little fishing boat in Costa Rica.
Yeah. Is it used for household stuff? Are we really not touching it? Can we dip into it for college education for one of the kids? I don't know. But these are the discussions that drive couples apart later on in life because they haven't really talked about it beforehand.
Yeah.
So, number 3, moving on. What do you do when your stepchild is the source of your distress? And what I want to say about this is from somebody that I know. And I want to clarify that distress does not mean hate. So it's not even like, what do you do when you hate your stepchild, right? But oftentimes, stepchildren, I think your own biological children, you're immune to. Like, you change your kids' diapers, you're not puking. If I had to change somebody else's kid's poopy diaper, I'm vomiting in the corner.
What about my poopy diaper when I'm an old man?
You're going to have to use your hand.
Oh.
Sorry. I don't know. Yeah. But I'm just saying, so I think that a lot of behaviors and stuff, I get talked to a lot of stepmoms and dads who are like, my kids don't bug me, but my stepkids just drive me crazy. And what I will say is like, I think that you're wired that way, right? Your biological children, you are just more immune to. Their stuff doesn't annoy you as much. You've grown up with them. You're used to it. Stepkids, it's a new situation. You're not used to it. You're not wired naturally to love them and nurture them. Like that's all learned behaviors and behaviors you've got to train yourself. So my point is, distress doesn't mean hate. So when I read this question, I'm thinking, the source of your distress, that's a really hopeless statement.
Yeah, because you're hanging a lot on that. You're hanging your happiness on that from what I get out of it. You're hanging your happiness on it. You're hanging, kind of your well-being, your family's well-being on it. And that's really, you're now allowing that child to dictate your emotions. And your emotions go so much further than just you. They're going to spill out onto your spouse, the child that's causing that issue, and any other children that are in the house. And then you're probably going to take it elsewhere with you. You know, it's going to spill out onto your friends because you've got to vent about it. You're going to want to talk about it, you know, and you're now allowing this child to dictate so much unhappiness.
Right. But I think that a lot of people feel this way, and it's not like you can escape your own household. And it's not like you're going to divorce your spouse over it. Or you might. A lot of people do. They can't take it. But say you're committed to your marriage, you're not going anywhere. You can't move out of your own home, but you don't want to be in your own home because you can't escape your stepchild. What advice do you have for somebody who's just like, the stepchild's a constant source of distress and upset and disrupting their lives? Like, how do you deal with that?
Take it upon yourself. Like, so if this kid is causing problems, they're disruptive, they're disrespectful, and this is your stepchild and your spouse isn't doing, I wouldn't even say anything, but maybe not doing the right thing, in your opinion, about it, then you need to basically step to the plate. You are, at that point, you are a step parent. So the name parent is in there, right? So I think at that point, you need to step in and be like, look, if this isn't getting done because the biological parent isn't taking care of it, and this child is still having these issues, you need to take it upon yourself to try to mitigate and fix that situation, right? Otherwise, you're just going to live in this because someone else isn't doing it for you, right? Like, so let's take some initiative and let's figure out what the problem is, why this is happening, and figure out a solution, maybe with that kid, how we're going to fix this. Like, look, you know, you sit down at the dinner table and, you know, we're having issues, you know, you won't talk to me, you won't look me in the eye, and it's really bugging me, you know, let's have a conversation, you know, maybe try to get in with the kid, right?
Yeah. What happens when your spouse and the biological parent doesn't support you?
So like, you're saying your spouse and their ex?
No, I'm just saying like the kid's biological parent / your spouse. You're the step parent.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's all fine and well. You go to bat, right? You're trying to do the right thing and it's not supported. I mean, because here's the deal. Like, kids always look to their parents naturally.
Right.
And so if the parent isn't going to back the step parent, you're just banging your head against a wall for fun.
Yeah, you need to have a plan. Run it by the step, or run it by the biological parent.
So what happens
run it by
if
your
the
spouse.
parent's like, no, I don't agree with that?
Well,
I'm going to pay $15 a week, right, for nothing.
$15 a week.
So I'm going to give allowance of $15 a week to my kid, and the kid has to do nothing. I mean, even though we have a chore chart, I'm just saying for instance.
Okay, you lost. I didn't know that this had to do with chores. Okay,
I'm doing a for instance of not backing.
Yes, thank you.
There's a mirror in your car with a picture on it.
You didn't mention. Did she mention chores before? The $15
no, I'm giving
was
an
out
example.
of. I get
You're
it
right.
now. Yes, I get it now. But when you hit me up with $15, I'm like, wait, who has $15?
Not me. But so like a for instance would be
I found $3 floating down the road the other day. I stopped the car, pulled over. I just saw money floating down the road. I pulled the car over. Actually, I was pulling a trailer, a dump trailer, and I pull over and I go, "Is that money?" I hop out, go collect it. There's money blowing down the road. Sorry. Okay.
I don't want to interrupt. Are you done?
Oh, yes, please don't interrupt me.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Yes, thank you. Now she doesn't.
Well, that was an important story. I
So
wanted
was
it to
mine.
have it. No, that's what
It was financial gain for our family.
That's why I didn't interrupt you.
Yes, I know.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll split it with you.
No, but so what if say step parent doesn't think their stepchild should be earning an allowance for doing nothing. There's a chore chart that's agreed upon, but does not get touched.
Right.
Biological parent gives kid $15.
You know what?
What do you do? And that's a shared finances question.
Yeah.
They share finances.
Well, you know what?
Like, what do you do in that case? Like, that's a source of distress. So
you go get yourself an extra large coffee, or sorry, what are they? A grande? A mucho grande.
It's a venti.
Sorry.
Or a venti. I don't know, however you say it.
You go get yourself a Vendi.
Hey, Brooke.
And just forget about it. It's $15. Like, yes, that sucks.
Per week.
But this is I get it. I totally do. I mean, this isn't my situation.
So, but this is what we mean by distress, right?
Yeah.
Because this is one example of 50.
Right. But also, don't let these small little things add up to so much that it is taking over your life. You know? And I know it's so much easier said than done, right? But also, look, one day they're going to be 18, you know, one day they might be 26, but one day
82.
They might move out of your house, or one day they might not. And at that point,
they wait you out till you die.
Yeah, they've got life insurance on you.
Yeah.
Now, if your stepchild takes out a life insurance policy on you without you knowing, be concerned.
Can you do that? You can. You could take a life insurance policy out on anyone.
Yeah.
That's something that financially you should talk about. I had I have a life insurance policy, and I had it before I knew you.
Right.
If you have something like that in place, you should probably talk to like your spouse that you're marrying. Hey, I have this in place, and these are the beneficiaries.
And if it's for a lot of money and they're overly interested in it,
take note.
Take note.
But that's another financial discussion to have. I think that's important, because is your spouse going to be offended if you want it to go to your kids and not your stepkids? Is that going to cause a problem?
Maybe we
You're
should talk
dead,
about that
so
sometime.
Whatever, you know. But, you know, like who's, you know.
I know you have a life insurance policy. However, you and I have never like discussed details of it. Like even like.
Yeah, we don't follow our own advice.
Which is kind of funny.
Well, because we started this after we were married, and we're like, we should have done this before.
Yeah, so we're learning from our own mistakes. Now. Yeah.
Yeah, but like discussions you need to have. I don't know. Is that offensive if you want your life insurance policy to go to your kids? Should they go to all the kids? Should it go to the spouse and the spouse dole it out? Should you let another family member do it? I don't know.
There you go.
These are discussions to have.
They're great discussions to have.
Yep.
Well, we got a lot to talk about.
Oh, my gosh. So the source of your distress, you know, here's what I would say about that. Have hobbies, right? If you're distressed about anything in your household, whether it's your stepchild, you know, your job, whatever it is, you need to counteract that, especially if you decided you're staying married, you're not going anywhere, you're ride or die.
And that's the way it should be.
But you need to take care of yourself, right? So you need to get a hobby, exercise, have friends. If you don't want to be home, and tell your spouse. I mean, you know, married is good, bad, and ugly. And sometimes it's really important to tell your spouse, look, I don't want to come home. At least that's honest.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
like,
it
don't
is.
you think you should tell? Because what happens is you don't tell your spouse that. Fast forward, right? You can't be honest and tell your spouse the hard truth. You bottle that up. You tell somebody else.
I think that's
somebody else like hooks into that. And, you know, this is how affairs start.
Well, you know what?
You know?
But I think that's like kind of the lesson in the story is be honest about this. Talk about this. If something's bothering you, bring it to the table. You know, talk to your spouse. Yeah. Keep those lines of communication open. And your spouse might not want to hear it. They might just defend their child to the
Which
depths.
is so hard. It's so hard to be that. And we've both done it.
Yeah.
It's so hard when you're like, this is bugging me. This is wrong. But
at least it's out there. At least it's something to think about.
Yeah.
You know, at least you didn't not say anything.
I'm talking about it's hard to have your spouse defend a child.
Oh, totally. But at least it got talked about. And I'm sure it'll take away. You know?
Yeah. And
I'm pretty quick to defend, usually. But the
beginning of the podcast, go listen.
They're listening.
Okay. No, we both are. You defend your kids.
But it wears away and you think about it. And you totally start thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, I mean, even at the beginning of us, even 6 months ago, I feel like I'm a lot more understanding and lenient now. And the whole reason why is because we've talked about it. You've voiced these things to me. So I've listened. And it's not something that happens from one conversation, or at least not in our household. that happens just overnight from one conversation, but it's things that take time and they take practice.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about it and you're voicing your issues and I'm voicing my issues, eventually we kind of come to a common ground.
Yeah. And I will say, and I've been in this position and I still do this because there is nothing more offensive to talk about than somebody else's children. And so a lot of times blended family marriages, a lot of the conversations by nature are offensive. Like if I bring something up and I don't want to offend my husband, I don't want to hurt my husband's feelings. I don't. This is why I don't talk a lot. Like you say that I don't share things with you because a lot of
most of it's going to hurt my feelings.
It's offensive stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't love that. And I certainly don't want the aftermath of saying something really offensive because it just is. It's my truth, but it's super offensive and vice versa.
But on the flip side too, though, there's nothing more painful than watching your wife or your spouse carry something around that something's bothering them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you'll have a hunch, but you don't know exactly what it is or what, the full details.
Right.
But something's going on, at least if you're in tune. And now all of a sudden they're carrying this around and you're like, dude.
Yeah, he's speaking for me. I do this. I own it. So hi, Riley. Riley and Brooke are listening. But Riley says,
hey guys, I need to get a hold of you.
Yeah, Riley. Eric's going to contact you
one of
someday.
These days.
Riley says, I'd rather be hurt by the truth than hurt by a lie.
That's it. Just talk about it.
Every guy just stood up and cheered.
Yeah, at least it's out there. Amen.
Yes, but I hate the fight.
Yeah,
like, truly,
but you can't hide behind it because if there's no fight, it doesn't always have to be a fight. It doesn't always have to be. Okay, she'll always make it a fight, but it doesn't always have to be. And if it is like, hey, you know what? At least you're talking about it. It might be a fight then, but maybe later it won't be another fight. But if you just hold it in, that resentment's always going to just be with you.
Yeah, my fear about communicating about offensive stuff is it just gives birth to new resentments that weren't there before. That's a real thing for me. Anyway, so it is choose your battles. It is, what can you live with? Because a lot of things you have no power to change when you're talking about offensive stuff, right? Yep. You can't change who people are. You can't change exes and what they're going to do. And so I would also say, choose your battles, because it does, but if it's resentments grow.
Yeah. Man. But if it's something that is just growing, you need to get it out. You totally need to talk about it. Don't carry this around in your relationship. Otherwise it's just going to bring your relationship down.
Yeah. And what I'm guilty of often is I don't bring it up till I break.
And then she wants to fight about it.
Yeah. And then I'm just done and I'm mad.
Which is so unfair because I'm like, wait, I didn't even get my chance. Come on, Mr. Schiff, let me talk.
Oh my gosh.
Political jokes.
Okay. I'm going to read a question.
Lost half the subscribers.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
So the next topic that we have tonight is how to deal with being in the middle of your biological children and stepchildren. And I let this person know we were going to discuss this on air and I was going to read this.
No, I think you had it right. You're going to discuss it. I'll be here for support.
Good.
Okay.
So she writes in, one of our listeners, so I have a situation with the children. My boyfriend is coming to my place for Thanksgiving with his 3 kids. Oldest is his daughter, 16, and son, 14, and then son, 12. Now he has his partial custody. Okay, so now he has partial custody of his kids, so it's week on, week off for him, and his job requires him to be gone from 3 a.m. to 1 p.m. So his oldest daughter, 16, is the one who takes charge in the house to make sure her brothers get up in the mornings and make the bus for school and so on.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Right. Okay. So for everything else, she basically takes on the role as mother to them but is still 16. Mm-hmm. So she, so the adult aspect of the actual parent isn't there. Like she is not obviously she's not an adult.
Yeah.
When I am around, she seems to kind of hand that role over to me.
Well, that's good.
But is caught between being a big sister and acting as mom.
Yeah.
So when they are around, so when his kids are around her own children, what may seem to start as a sibling argument with them gets way out of boundaries because the mom, you know, the 16-year-old acting as mom is acting as mom to her kids too. Also, it sounds like gets way out of boundaries, and my children do not know how to take her or even want her to be around. Also, her father does not step in and take over dad position as I think he should and remind her that she's a child, not a parent. But that's hard because he puts her in that position.
Well, you know what? Is there more on that?
Yeah. So she says, I feel stuck between everyone.
Well, the problem
is...
My
children don't want her to come home from... My children don't want her to come for the holiday. And my older ones are saying that if she's there, they will step in and say something.
That's her. That's the kids basically acting out like the attention, like the kids are noticing it. But the problem is there isn't boundaries there. And the dad hasn't set up boundaries with his daughter and actually has put another load of responsibilities on that never should have been the kids' responsibilities in the first place. And in order to fix this, it's not going to be a quick fix. It's going to be a slow burn that at least you're noticing, and you're going to have to be the one who starts that fixing process. And this may have been going on for a long time, and that fixing process might carry on into adulthood, and it could cause, and I'm not a psychologist or anything, but could cause some psychological issues, you know, where she's acting a lot older than what she really is, and not being allowed to be a 16-year-old who has some, you know, mishaps and some misresponsibilities. And, you know, that's a lot of pressure. I mean, I'm 37 years old, and you know, those responsibilities are hard, you know, making sure that your kid's up for school, that they're bathed, that their homework is done, that food's on the table for them. You know, that's a role of a parent. And he has basically handed this role over to his daughter, that, you know, to take over the other kids. So that's a hard place, but that's something that you should try to work on with her. And
who should try to work on?
The lady writing in.
So she should try, because they're not married. This is boyfriend, girlfriend. Right. They don't live together.
Right.
So what is the expectation?
But if she loves him and she's like, this is the man for me and this is who I'm going to marry and be with forever, you know, I mean, weigh that out too. Like, is this something you can live with? Or is this like, man, this is way past where I want to be as far as commitment goes? And I know that's where I feel like that's where your brain is right now, right?
Yeah. Well, because I just had to write a really tough letter to a listener who wrote me a really tough letter about a situation, and they're not married yet. They're not living together yet. And I knew as I was writing it that she wasn't going to like my response.
Mm-hmm. You went all Dr. Laura on her?
I feel like as parents, your first and foremost obligation is to protect your children. Right. So that is your number one obligation. Your obligation, especially when you're boyfriend, girlfriend, your obligation is not to your boyfriend, is not to your potential stepchildren. You know, your number one obligation is to your biological kids, to protect them.
Now, what about when you're married, though? Is that your number one obligation still?
Well, like Dr. Laura said, it's a circle. This question was asked when we were there. What do you put first, kids? And she didn't talk about blended families, but I think it was very true to blended families too. Who do you put first, your wife or your children? She kind of just said it's a circle, right? And it goes around. So, you know, spouse, children, children, spouse, and it kind of just goes like that. When you make a commitment and a promise, it kind of does shift a little bit, but this is why marriage is important.
Right.
Right. That's the difference between just dating and being married, and people to think that marriage doesn't mean anything, but it truly does. Like, you're laying down your life for another person when you decide to get married. Truly, you're laying down and sacrificing your life for somebody else. And that does include their kids.
And all the baggage that they're bringing with them. You have to understand that by marrying someone, that doesn't all disappear. It doesn't change. It doesn't soften the blow. It doesn't make anything easier. So that's something that you need to think of now. But if it is something where you're like, man, I see... Yeah, and how's this 16-year-old? How is she dealing with this? Is this something that, maybe talk to, hey, look at, I realize that this is put on you, but you've got a lot going on. I'll get the kids up for school. You go ahead and you sleep in, you get yourself ready. And
but what she's talking about is that there's,
coffee.
But that's not even the issue. The issue right now is that her kids don't want her over.
Right.
And she doesn't know how to socially behave in a sibling setting because she is psychologically confused because she's mom and child. And she doesn't know, there's no clear-cut boundaries there. And I think this is, first and foremost, right, I would have a shit fit if I were the biological mother of a dad who was this would not be okay. I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's okay to put that responsibility. Sometimes circumstances, it's just not ideal and it's not good for the kid. So there's that. I think most everyone would agree with that that's just an unfortunate situation for this 16-year-old girl. But your kids, I feel like in this situation, her kids eventually are going to feel like she chose him and his kids over them and their comfort. And this is a source of distress that's probably never going to go away should you tend to cohabitate and get married, because the amount of years that this child has had to have these responsibilities takes a profound effect. And you can't just snap your fingers and it goes away, right, regardless if you get married and you're cohabitating and now you're the mom. So then there's a power struggle between...
I was just saying, then that might cause some friction there too, because, that's my brother and sister and I have to take care of them. And this is the way that we do it. And this is our habits and our schedule. And that could cause a lot of issues.
Yeah. So there's a lot to be mindful of and navigate. And I would just, I still stick by that. Your first obligation is to your children. Why ruin their holiday?
Especially in this situation where you guys aren't married, you haven't taken that leap yet. Yeah, maybe it's like, hey, we need to step back and, listen to your kids. Because that's also a thing too, is usually kids with their biological parents, they're usually pretty honest. So if they're seeing an issue and they're calling this issue out, take it as a big red flag. Like, your kids are having issues with this and it's not going to get any better until something changes, and just listen to them. Otherwise it's going to be detrimental.
Yeah. And you have to understand too, if your kids say something to her kids, how is your boyfriend going to react when there's not even sibling war, but like kid war? That's super intense, and everyone's going to protect their own children as they should. And that just sounds like for a holiday recipe for disaster. It's not how I would want to spend my Thanksgiving.
It's not the Hallmark movie you'd like to watch this evening.
No. And I just think if you can avoid conflict, especially this early on, you have these many red flags, I would, I would listen to it and either get a plan of attack, get on the same page with your boyfriend and discuss how to get this 16-year-old either help or how to change the situation so she doesn't have to have these roles. I think that's where your focus needs to be, because if you can fix or help that situation, everything else might fall into place a little bit easier. And if this is your man and this is your person, then that should be where your focus is too, is helping her step off that mother role and giving it time. And it's going to take a long time, years. Yeah. I wouldn't have an expectation that it's going to change, like I said, overnight. And when you cohabitate, it's probably going to get worse as far as, tensions and fighting before it gets better.
Yeah, now you're all living under the same roof. And there's a big snowball effect there if it keeps rolling in that direction.
But let's suspend reality and say, they're married, or you get being in a blended family, married, stepkids in the house, biological kids in the house. I think a lot of people get stuck between the two.
Oh, totally.
And what do you do for, what is your advice for people who are stuck in between the two?
What I've had to do is really look at it from all sides and not just be narrow-minded about a situation. If someone says something in your family about someone else, unless they're just being kids, but if someone says something about someone else in your family, listen to them and try to understand and figure it out, and don't just take one side, but listen to everyone's sides. Look at it from all sides.
Yeah, that's true. Don't be reactionary. And that's, gosh, I am super reactionary, and I find myself often having to slow my roll and to slow down. And I know even today with you, I cut you off. I answer questions before you even get them out. And I think that I get so worked, and so that is my advice to people too, is slow down, take a beat, and really think about what you're going to say and how you're going to handle it before you do anything at all. And a lot of times situations have a way of working themselves out,
Yeah, and it's not one of those things that's just going to happen overnight. Practice. Start practicing things. If you want to change something about yourself, start practicing. I mean, no better analogy than a weight loss analogy, because everyone understands that. But,
Jeez.
but it's probably one of the biggest topics in anything. If you want to lose weight, you're not going to go lose, well, let's give a big number. You're not going to go lose 100 pounds in a day. You're not going to lose 100 pounds in a week. You're probably not going to lose 100 pounds in a month. And if you do, that's pretty unhealthy, and you should probably notify a physician. But stuff like that takes time. It takes practice. It takes habits, and creating habits and building a lifestyle that basically supports your habits and what you want to change and what you want to be different.
Yeah. And if you feel like you're in the middle, also consider why. Are you putting yourself in the middle of situations you have no business being in? I'm a very big cheerleader for knowing your role. And if it's not your place, then remove yourself. And don't be offended by it. Just realize, you're not the biological parent here, or you are the biological parent here and you have every right. It's just kind of one of those things that you need to really see if you have cause to feel that way, because a lot of times we talk ourselves into things that are so unreasonable and so unfair to yourself even, right?
Yeah, and it's just, you're just taking on so much more burden than you really need to. People get so caught up in drama, and everyone thinks of drama as outside of the household, but so much of it starts within your household.
Most of it.
Yeah. So
parents who feel stuck in between, use your spouses, or, you shouldn't have to be alone, stuck in between your kids and your stepkids. You should really be talking with your spouse and feeling like you have a partner there with you in the trenches. And if you don't, I would invite you to look at your marriage and strengthen your relationship and figure out how to not feel isolated, alone, and stuck in between. And I would just remind all the kids you love them.
Yeah. And keep that line of communication open. Do you have more?
I do.
All right, let's keep going.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Well, I have to do this really quick.
Burning up her hour.
I know. What to do when the other high conflict bio parent refuses to follow court orders.
Ooh.
So,
well, you know what? Court orders are there for a reason. Court orders are there because they've been ordered by a court. And if you have issues and the other parent isn't following them, you can always take them back to court.
And run up those legal bills.
Not fun.
No.
Not fun.
So things like, not using the co-parenting app, not participating in therapy, not participating in co-parenting classes.
Not using Venmo.
Yeah. When, what can you as the functioning parent do? Well, all you can do is control yourself and be the antithesis of what is wrong. So if you are able to lay your head at night on your pillow and know you've done everything that should be peace in mind enough. Do the right thing. And it's just hard because children will see eventually the other parent not following what they're supposed to. And if you have to go back to court, you have to go back to court.
But that's why
right?
It's so important to always do the right thing. Like, really, again, seeing all sides of this story and doing the right thing. Being like, hey, you know, what's going on here? Am I being selfish? Am I being unreasonable? Am I doing this out of spite? Or, you know, try to be the best person that you can, especially when you're dealing with your kids. Because like Julie just said, your kids will eventually see the other side of it. They're going to see they're going to see both sides, and they're going to make their own judgment on it, you know? And really at the end of the day, you want the kids to come out with a judgment of like, oh, my mom did really great and my dad did really great, and I'm just a happy person. It's not about winning. When it comes down to your kids, it's not a battle with your ex that you need to win. Like, at the end of the day, you want your kids to win, and that means that you guys both pulled your own weight. You did good and you raised good humans.
Yeah, when one parent doesn't do that, all you can do, unless you're willing just to fight it out in court, is do right. Don't fall into the trap of, well, they're not going, so I'm not going to go.
But even if you win in court, you still doesn't necessarily mean that you win in life. Your kids are going to see that. They are going to judge that and be like, man, my mom was real unreasonable and took my dad to the ringer and like totally screwed up his life. You know, like, your kids are going to see this years down the road. It's not going to be right away.
Yeah.
This is about when they're adults.
Yeah. So how do you maintain sanity when you're always doing the right thing and right by your kids, and you have to turn over custody 50% of the time for somebody who's not following court orders, who's high conflict co-parenting and not doing right by the kids? You know, that's a very hard situation.
Yeah, you win within yourself. You win by being at peace. You win by like, okay, this is why we're not together. You justify it within yourself. You don't win it by gaining more followers on social media or having more money in a more exciting lifestyle,
or even hurting your kids,
or hurting your ex.
Yeah,
you win within yourself. Like, man, I did the best I could.
Yeah, a lot of parents will point out their other parents' shortcomings, and you know that that's a tough one, because they feel like, I feel better because look at everything your mom or your dad's not doing for you and I am. And that gets into it
just hurts the kids.
And that seems counterintuitive, because you feel like all you're trying to do is tell them the truth, right? You're truth telling. And I think your lives speak for themselves. And so, you know, stay physically active, maintain sanity through prayer, reading the Bible, doing the right thing. I think doing the right thing brings a lot of peace. And then having a support system, you know, when you're choosing somebody to be a stepmother or father to your kids too, having that person support doing the right things for your kids as well. And if things are detrimental to your children, then you need to maybe seek custody for your kids full time.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So guess what time it is? It's that time.
We could talk forever
to
on
go
this.
Leave comments and subscribes and likes. And if you guys are watching on YouTube, there's a thumbs up button right. Well, I guess it's right over here now, huh? But yeah, comment. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Let us know what you guys need help on. Let us know what we're right and what we're wrong on. And if you have any more input on anything that we've touched on, because like we've said before, we're not professionals. We're just learning this stuff as we go, and all the help helps.
Yeah, we're hoping to start conversations that you finish in your own homes. Truly. Yeah. You guys figure out what's best for your families.
Speaking of finishing conversations in your own homes,
we're going to do that.
Thank you guys for watching, listening, and tuning in, and we will see you guys and talk to you guys next week.
Nope.
No? Oh, just kidding. It's Thanksgiving. We're going to do something special for you.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, have a happy Thanksgiving. And we'll do something next week for everyone. It won't be Thursday, or it might. You'll have to figure out. Follow us on social media.
Are we recording
and we'll tell
anymore?
you. Yeah, we are.
Oh.
Bye, you guys.